Hi, Namaste. Welcome to IAS Toast. In this edition, I'm going to talk about the weak monsoon in India and its relationship with the inflation. Now, as you may be reading the newspaper, interesting things in the newspaper. Let me mention are number one is the rural distress. This term is being used each day by the economist experts. Rural distress, please follow this rural distress hashtag on Twitter and try to know more about it. Second thing is that the IMD, India's meteorological department, came up with the conclusion that the monsoon would be weaker. Whereas there is another agency, private agency. The name of that private agency is SkyMet. SkyMet. SkyMet came to a conclusion. They have declared that there would be a normal monsoon this year. Now, there's a conflict. Conflict of what? Conflict of methodology, or the conflict of information, or the difference of information. What led these people to SkyMet to conclude differently from IMD? This is another thing to follow if you can. And third thing is this inflation and impact of the monsoon. I'm going to talk about this. I'll make a separate video in coming days on both the issues, but by then you can read as a primer, increase your knowledge. Now, the general conclusion is that the weak monsoon would not lead to the inflation. So, inflation is the general price rise in the economy, right? So, general price rises in the economy is the inflation, right? Price rise is called inflation. There are many factors which are responsible for the inflation. When you talk about the classic demand and supply, whenever there's a lack of supply, when supply goes down, there are disturbances in the supply. Certainly, the price, when supply goes down, price goes up. This is our classical understanding of the economy. Now, what else? The other thing is when demand goes up, supply remains the same. Ceteris paribus, all the things remaining same. When demand goes up, price goes up, right? But the general conclusion by many of the economists is that there would not be any price rise, because they assume number one that the government has huge storage of food grain. When you talk about the FCI, Food Corporation of India, you will realize that these people have the abundant quantity of the storage of food grain, more than 30 MT higher than the prescribed limit. So in case there's a supply disruption, these people would be able to dump, or so to say, release the grain in the market. Now, India's food grain market, along with this food grain market, does not work in the way we think that the market economy works, because the PDS system, people expect food grains from the PDS system. So they just go there, show your ration card, and pay the minimum amount. At the same time, there's a Food Security Act, and it is in the initial phase of its implementation. So the supply function would be limited. That is number one. Let's read this fact along with few other things. Now, what about the demand? Why there is no increase in the demand of other food items? What about the fruits and vegetables? Fruits and vegetables. Now, you can say that FCI cannot have the fruits and vegetables as their storage. It will impact them. Let's look at the data of the real income, real wages in India. Now, when you talk about the real wages, India had seen the from 2009. Let us draw this graph. 12, 13, 14, and we are here 15, right? From 2009 to 10, we have seen the decrease. Let me take the red color here. And on this side, let's take the percentage, 1%, 3%, then again 5, 7, I made a mistake, then let's see, 9 and then 11%, right? Now, from in 2009-10, from 3% to 1%, I am drawing this graph for the growth in the real wages, right? And then from 2010 to 2012, we have seen the huge growth coming to the 6% around, and then from 6% it went up to around 8.5% by 2012. This is what it is, right? This is year-on-year growth. Growth in comparison with the last year. Let's say last year it was 3%, X amount, then X plus 1% is 1.01x. Then from 2012 we have seen the decrease in the real wage. 2013 it came down, then again it came down, and then it again came down to around 3% here in 2015. So this is the real wage growth, and you may be knowing that whenever real wages grow, demand for fruits and vegetables go up. It is reflected in the data. You talk about, let me take a green color here, fruits or vegetables. When you talk about the demand for fruits and vegetables, the India, this shows like this only. It follows from last 5-6 years, Indian economic behavior follows the same path as is being shown by the real wage growth. So this is what the demand, consumption growth for fruits and vegetables. Consumption growth for fruits and vegetables. Consumption growth. So we can be assured here that there would not be consumption growth. Data is available in 2013. But we have an insight here that if there is no real wage growth, which is not there, the demand for the fruits and vegetables would not be there. So supply side impact, supply side, demand side inflation pressure would not be there in the economy. At the same time, we have state governments had taken, many state governments had taken the initiative for the contract farming, for the reform in the APMC Act. Now, many of the farmers are able to sell their products directly to the companies. So, removing the middleman from the process, and at the same time, this provides an incentive for farmers to work and grow the produce accordingly. What else? Do we see the implementation of the Essential Commodity Act would be more effective this year? Possibly yes, there would be. It seems that the government would be strict towards the Essential Commodity Act, as well as it would work against the hoarding and the black marketing. Black marketing, people have faith. It's the riding emotions, and government is very calculative in looking at and raising the MSP, right? Even if there is a rise in MSP, government will seriously look into the inflation because it is the middle class that makes or breaks the government. The inflation impacts the poorest badly, but it is a middle class that gives illegitimacy to the government. It is the middle class that talks about the inflation and discredit the government. Okay, I'm taking the political side of the economy into our discussion. Any other thing if you come across? Yes, the world commodity prices, world food prices. Stable. So, and at the same time, Indian rupee is also stable, relatively stable at 61, 62. So in this scenario, if there is any inflationary pressure, huge inflationary pressure, we would be in a situation to import things, import fruits, vegetables, goods. So the overall inflation, I specifically talked about the food inflation. Since overall inflation, we have seen the WPI coming down in the negative. So overall inflation, along with it, if WTI follows the same line, food inflation would be tamed. Let's hope. Still, we are hopeful that monsoon would be normal, or it would be near to the normal range. Okay, bye bye. Have a nice time. You can subscribe. I'll be posting videos almost on daily basis, and like on facebook.com, fb.com, facebook.com/ias.tows. Okay, bye bye.